Over the last 4 years, I built a following of 1.2 million people at the point of recording this date. I'm going to be breaking down how to build a magnetic, massive following across all platforms to build and scale your business and help people along the way. The first thing is understanding how humans' brains work. The human brain can process anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500 people that it associates and it feels like it knows. So for example, this could be friends, people they went to school with, YouTubers. But what's interesting about the human brain is that we've only had about 3 generations of humans that have actually seen television. This started in the 1950s, where humans started watching sitcoms like I Love Lucy and a bunch of different ones, Leave It to Beaver, and they started falling in love with these characters. This created movie stars, changed Hollywood forever. But what happens, and what's so interesting about the human brain, is that when we visualize something or watch something, whether it's on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, is our brain processes that image in that video and experiences the motions. The brain's neurons react the exact same way as if you were experiencing that thing in person. A good example of this is for any of you guys that have ever seen Friends or The Office or any of one of these famous legendary sitcoms. I don't know about you guys, but when I first started watching The Office, the first or second episode, I said, man, this isn't even funny. This is corny. But I had a roommate at the time in New York that had it on 24/7. And so I kind of had no choice because I'd get home, he'd already have it on. I didn't say anything. So I'd be on my phone, I'd be slowly watching it. But after about the 4th or 5th episode, you started noticing Dwight making a funny face and you knew what he was thinking. You noticed Michael crack a joke. And in the 1st or 2nd episode, it wasn't that funny, but now you think it's hilarious. And then by the 2nd or 3rd season, you feel like you're a cast member or you're one of the people working in the office. You know everybody. You know their quirks. You know their personalities. What happened? Your brain started associating Michael and Dwight and all these different characters as if you actually know them. I was having this conversation with someone about how, what her favorite YouTubers were and content creators. And I was talking about the difference between long form and short form content. And I was telling her is that when people come up to me in public, with about 15 seconds, I know if they were a long form or podcast viewer, or they just saw my reels or shorts or TikToks. And the difference between the two is if they've listened to my podcast, they know my story, they know my hardships, they know about my family, they know about what I've been through. They feel like I've been talking in their ear for hours and hours and hours. Many people have listened to all episodes multiple times. So much so when I met them in person, it is as if they've known me for their entire lives. They love me. But people that have seen the shorts, they say nice things, but they'll be like, what's your name again? Is it Grant? Grant, right? Yeah, I've seen your stuff, bro. I like your content. Or some, they're like, I've seen you somewhere. My boyfriend, my girlfriend, my brother watches your stuff. I think he sent me a video, but they don't know who I am, nor do they even care. And so what happens is humans' brains change after they've watched a certain amount of content. When I first started blowing up on social media, I started to do this through first TikTok and then Instagram Reels until I made the realization that I need to perfect and learn long form content. So I really built a podcast that's now listened to 139 countries. But as you can see, it depends when you're watching this video, whether it's, within the first day of making this or 20 years from now. At the time, I only have 53,000 subscribers on my YouTube. And the bulk of those subscribers came from YouTube Shorts, which has hurt my engagement. Even though the people that do engage love my content, I'm missing out on long form viewers, and I'm slowly reversing this issue and changing it. So if you're seeing this video in 10 years, hopefully what I'm saying to you worked. You want to find a way to get people to engage in long form content to where they feel as if they know you. There was a study from Google called the 7-11-4 rule, and Google has more data than almost anybody in the world. And they figured out what makes a person a buyer. And what they found is that to make someone a buyer, they had to see, consume, or research content, the product, or the service for 7 hours and 11 touch points in 4 locations. So a simple way to kind of reverse engineer this and see how this has affected you is, who are your favorite content creators? Who are your favorite artists? Who are your favorite actors? If I ask you, hey, what's your favorite actor? And let's say it's Leonardo DiCaprio. And how many movies have you seen of him? 4 or 5. Well, how long are movies? 2 hours a piece? That means you've invested 10 hours of your time watching Leonardo DiCaprio. If your favorite basketball player is LeBron James, how long is a basketball game? An hour and a half, right? You've watched LeBron over and over and over and over again, probably documentaries, probably on social media, so much so that you feel as if you actually know LeBron James. Whether he knows you or not, your brain associates all of that content going into your brain, creating an emotional reaction to it, and it causes the associations in the neurons in your brain to react as if you were talking to LeBron in real life. That's why we've seen many of the celebrities that we grew up with become less liked, less respected, and less excitement towards them. But when you go back into the 90s and the 80s before social media, if you saw a celebrity that went out in person, there would be waves of people, hundreds and hundreds, paparazzi everywhere. Now, unless you're a massive, I'm talking like Ronaldo level celebrity, this doesn't happen. Why? Because humans are consistently consuming content of people that they once thought were mysterious and unbelievable to now they're like, oh, I've seen them every day. I see what they eat for lunch. I see their kids. I see behind the scenes. I see what their house looks like. So your brain takes them less seriously. Michael Jackson, this was how big he was. He could not even go to a basketball game because it would literally disrupt the game. There's a famous story of Magic Johnson, who was a point guard for the LA Lakers and was an all-star Hall of Fame basketball player, was friends with Michael Jackson and said, Michael, you should come to a game. When Michael showed up to the game in about the second quarter, they had to stop the game and they had to leave because people were running out of their seats onto the court to see Michael Jackson. This was before social media. People's brains change when you create something that they watch for a long time. The second is storytelling. When you're trying to create a brand, it's extremely important to think about the end and think about who you're trying to attract. The confusing thing that occurs many times when we're meeting people for the first time, when we're making content, when we're giving a speech, is if I ask you the question, hey, do you think that when you make content, they know what you've been through? They know what you're like with your friends. They know your credibility. They know your successes. They know what you had for lunch yesterday. They know about a family member passing away. Every one of you would say, no, of course not. But what I notice is that it's so easy to accidentally speak and communicate like everyone already knows all the great things that you've done, that everyone already knows the things that you've been with. I was talking with a client of mine that I consult with, and she's building this coaching brand, and she's been so successful the last 10 years working in a Fortune 500 company in sales. And she makes pretty fiery, controversial content about sales and business. And she's a fiery blonde, super talented. And she had so much hate against her randomly within 2 weeks. People were making videos talking bad about her. There was hate comments, there was hate messages, and it was very discouraging to her. And I told her how this could be a positive. But then when we diagnosed it further, I said, you know, do any of these people, have they worked with you for like over an hour? She said, no. And I said, do any of these people hang out with you or know you beforehand? She's like, no. And I said, what about, have you worked with them one-on-one? And she said, no. And I said, okay, well, let me ask you this. The clients and the close friends that you have, how do they treat you after 3 or 4 consulting sessions? Or when you go into a company and fix their sales process, how much do they love you, support you, and care about you after that experience? She's like, Grant, they love me. It's like I saved their life. And I'm like, exactly, right? Now, the people who are making the hate comments, have they done any of that? She's like, no. And I'm like, so let's think about this. A person who doesn't know who you are, they don't know your credibility, they don't know your success. You are a fiery blonde girl that is yelling damn near through a 30-second video telling them that everything they've done for 20 years is wrong. Why do you expect anything different? She starts busting out laughing. She goes, damn, you're right, Grant. And I said, so if they don't see that side of you, how can you expect them to love you and support you and instantly want to jump on the train of whatever you're doing? And she's like, oh my God, you're so right. I'm like, it has nothing to do with you. Their perception is different than yours. And so we have to think about, what story are we creating? And a rule I've figured out for shorts, if you go look at my TikTok and my Instagram and a lot of my viral videos, and you listen to my hooks and you listen to the storytelling, my goal for every video I make is I assume every person that's viewing it has no idea who I am, doesn't care about me, but the hook is interesting enough that it makes them listen for another 10 to 20 seconds. And the message is good enough that it engages. And I hope that the charisma and likability is enough to make them share it with a friend, even though they don't know nor care about me. And if you approach every single video like that, you will ultimately start having people love and support you, and you will add so much value that they then will fall in love with the character that you are bringing to their life. What's really interesting, and I realize I've made this mistake, and it depends when you watch this video, but I just started making vlogs. And a lot of people after the vlog were like, man, I didn't know you were that funny. I didn't know you were joking around like that. I've never seen you around your friends. And they're seeing all these different sides of me. My personality did not change. If you talk to my friends, they will tell you I am the exact same person than when I was 9 years old. I know some different things, I've grown, but I'm still the same person. And what I learned is people would meet me for the first time, or I'd go on a date, or I'd hang out with friends, or whatever the case may be. And they'd always say, you know, Grant, I thought you were going to be really serious. I didn't know that you were this relaxed or funny or whatever, or goofy sometimes, right? And I'm like, really? Like, yeah, when I see your videos, like, it's really good, but I just assumed you were going to be serious. And then I was like, man, I'm not taking my own advice. How could I expect them to know those sides of me if I'm not showing it to them? They're not going to eat lunch with me. They're not hanging out with me after work. They're not joking around with me and my friends. They are once they meet me, but before then, how would they ever do that? And so I said, man, I need to start showing those sides so people can form that character version of me. Because what happens is this, is if you don't show that version of yourself, their brain, through association, through stereotype, and through assumption, is going to fill the missing gaps of your personality and your character type. And this could be negative. This could be something completely different than what you are. This could be like, man, every guy that this girl has dated that looked like you was an asshole. So you must be a rude person. Or everyone from Texas is really friendly, so he must be so nice. Or all those entrepreneurs, they're probably trying to sell me a course. They must be a scammer, right? So you got to think about those things, and you focus by association. Don't leave anything to hypothesis, and don't leave anything to assumption. Take your listener through a journey and teach them other sides of you. This is so important, and you have to be very conscious about the way that you're doing this. Last is consistency. If you're not producing content, ads, and showing your products and services everywhere that they go, remember we talked about those 11 touch points, then they will direct their energy somewhere else. We're constantly competing for customers, for viewers, for listeners, and supporters. Heck, even your family, your wife, your husband, you're constantly competing for their attention. And it's weird to think about and even discuss this, but think about how many ads are going to pop up on your phone right after this video. Think about how many videos and shorts and other YouTube videos that are right to the side of this that you could immediately stop this video and start watching theirs instead. We have to look at this. And the most important thing, content changes, interests change, trends change, you change, your viewer change, the world changes. But the one thing that has to stay the same is your consistency. If you're consistent in your delivery, you will build a bigger fan base and supporter and customer base that will follow and support what you do. Because when you're consistent, what happens is you end up learning the behaviors and the response rate and the interests of your viewers. And this helps you improve your quality, your products, your service, your content, and ultimately your brand. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and put the alert button on this so you can be alerted every time I make a video. I want to produce as much free and incredible content for you guys to help you grow, scale, and improve your lives. And as always, you guys can find me on all my social media outlets at Grant Mint. As always, I'm rooting for all of you, and I'll see you guys again soon. Cheers.